Hey guys, it's Aaron from Team Endgame, bringing you what should be the last of our G-BT10 Raging Clash of the Blade Fangs set reviews. This one is covering the new Nectar cards, and before we start, there are no reprints of Nectar cards in this set. Once again, we have a very limited amount of cards for Nectar, being about 7 cards. So starting off, we have Governing Flower Princess Selfina, which is our triple rare stride. Her skill is act on the Vanguard once per turn, counterblast 1 and choose a face down card from your G-zone and turn it face up. Choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of face up cards in your G-zone. Until the end of the turn they get 2k. Search your deck for up to the same number of cards with the same card name as those units as the number of face up Governing Princess Selfina in your G-zone, call them to separate rear guards, shuffle your deck, and if you call 2 or more cards this gets a critical. So she can flip up anything in the G-zone, however you'll probably still want to flip a copy of herself so that you can search a copy from your deck and call it to the rear guard. Only the unit that you chose will get the 2k, which is very minor, it's not really the main point of the card. However, it does allow you to spread thin and potentially get an 11k on the rear guard for a Nicola and then set up a column on the other side. In my opinion, this is probably the new first stride and it takes the place of Verano. Since Verano, you have to discard a card to then get a card. This one essentially just pluses you a card as long as you flip a copy of Selfina over, which is quite nice. And the fact that she can get a critical if you use her late game as well is really good, considering this will be the first and only Nectar stride that can get a crit that is outside of an Arsha or Bloom based deck, meaning that Musketeers and Maiden ofs can now get a critical as well. For this reason I think it's a really good card, not only for the cheap +1 you can get early game, but also for the fact that you can get a crit in other decks outside of the Arsha Bloom based build as well. Nectar got no double rares, so we move straight to rares. It's Sacred Tree Dragon, Resonate Dragon, which is next. This stride has a Bloom ability on the Vanguard. When your other unit with the same card name as this unit is placed on the rear guard, that unit and this unit get 8k power. So unless you're doing some copy shenanigans early game, it's essentially you call a copy of your Vanguard to the rear guard and they both get 8k. It isn't restricted to once per turn either, so you can potentially stack if need be, and if you can get things with boost, that makes it even better. However, too much setup for just a power gain on your rear guards. It does have Bloom, but I don't think that really affects much in the current decks, so unless new support comes out that requires you to have Bloom face up in the G-zone, I don't think this is going to be relevant anytime soon. Next rare is Charm Maiden Nicola. She has a Bloom on the rear guard and Guardian Circle. GB1, when your other unit with the same card name as this unit is placed on the rear guard or Guardian Circle, choose up to 2 of your Charm Maiden Nicola on the rear guard or Guardian Circle, and it gets 4k and 5 shield until the end of the turn. Stressing the Guardian Circle because this is the first Bloom card that will bloom itself if it's placed on Guardian Circle as well as the rear guard, meaning it activates in both your turn and your opponent's turn, which is really good. So during your turn you're looking for the plus 4k power, which is your normal power gain. An extra 5k shield for every Nicola on the Guardian Circle is great. It isn't once per turn restricted either, meaning if you had one there and you called your second one, you can choose both of them, they'll get 5k each, so that's plus 10k. If you then were to call a third one, then both the Nicolas in the Guardian Circle would proc, and you'd get an extra 20k. So for calling 3 Nicolas, you're getting 30k plus the 5 each, that's 45 from 3 cards. So they become 15k shield each. I know that is quite hard to actually call 3 of the same card to the Guardian Circle, however if you do use Rain Breath Dragon, which is the Fighters Collection G-Guard, during your opponent's turn you can actually call Euphoria if need be, and when she is called you can copy Nicola's name, and since it's called to the rear guard it would still proc Nicola's skill, meaning that you can give them an extra 5k then as well. Does make it a bit easier to use the Bloom skill, and it's quite nice to see extra guarding potential in cards. That's it for rares, so moving to commons, we have Lily, Narcissus, Flower, Maiden, Eliana. So she's a Bloom grade 3, Vanguard and rear guard when your other unit with the same card name is listed on the rear guard, or your rear guards with the Bloom ability get boost, and also on the Vanguard once per turn, when your unit is placed on the rear guard, if you have another unit with the same name as the unit called, this unit gets 3k power. Again, it's another weak skilled grade 3, I can't see why you would use it. You have Arsha, you have 2 Arshas in fact, I suppose her first skill is nice that it's not all copies of her, it's just all copies with Bloom get boost, but again I don't see why you would run this over cards like Asha. So once again, it's a badly skilled grade 3, it has no potential of being used at all. Next is a grade 1 Assistant Maiden Lucie. At Generation Break 1 on the rear guard, when your unit's attack hits a Vanguard during the battle that this unit boosted, you may Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. If you do, choose one of your units, search your deck for up to one card with the same name as that unit, call it to the rear guard and shuffle your deck. If the unit called with this effect has Bloom, that unit gets 4k until the end of the turn. So if it wasn't on hit, I'd say this has potential, but since it's on hit, it's incredibly unlikely it is going to hit, unless you put it behind your Vanguard, which has a potential to hit the most, especially in the early game. However, that then leaves you in a situation where you're going to call this. You're going to call it over a unit, well then you've just named yourself a card, and unless there's any power gain on it, which 4k is nice, but unless you get more than that, I don't think it's going to do much more than a niggle. So unfortunately, I think it's a pretty bad card. Again though, if I'm missing something guys, please let me know in the comment section below, but I just can't see this card being used unfortunately. Next we have Maiden of Cucumber. Her skill is when your grade 1 or higher unit with the Bloom ability is placed on the rear guard, you can counterblast 1. If you do, you may choose a card from your drop zone with the same name as that unit, put it to the bottom of your deck. If you do, this unit gets 3k till the end of the turn. So it's a new Maiden of card, which is nice for the archetype. However, there aren't any Bloom cards in the Maiden of archetype, which means although this is a Maiden of card, it seems to be targeted towards Bloom, which is kind of contradictory, which is relatively annoying. If you could get a skill off, it's nice that she can give herself 3k and you're putting cards back to the deck. The only card I could see potential of this card using its skill on is Lisbeth. However, since it says grade 1 or higher, you can't even do that. So unless Maiden ofs get a Bloom effect later on, I don't think this card is usable. And lastly is a new Forerunner, which is Ringer Paprika, which has a skill on the rear guard. Axe, put it into your soul, choose a unit, it gets boost. So just like the previous clans, it's just a filler Forerunner. It's not going to be used because there are plenty of better options out there. And that was all 7 cards for Neo Nectar in Raging Clash of the Blade Fangs, and that is also the last video of our set reviews on G-BT10. Thanks very much for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed all 7 videos of these set reviews. Again, please let me know down below if you like this format of clan by clan, or if you'd like us to group up these smaller clans in the next set. The next set due out is Rummy Labyrinth Under the Moonlight, which is a new character booster, and that is due out on the 12th of May, so hopefully me and Mike will be presenting a Grand Blue and Pale Moon set reviews for those, so please look forward to that. So once again guys, thanks very much for watching, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, follow us on Facebook, and we will see you guys later.